Ready? I'm ready to talk about the Wolverine.
Okay.
That was a pretty good Hugh Jackman. I'm not gonna lie. Did you hear that? The Wolverine. I know. See, I lost it, but that. The Wolverine. That was good. That was good.
I think it sounds good in your head.
No, fuck off. You said that about my Batman voice, and then when I do it to other people, they're like, "Oh." When we first met, you're like, "Oh, you got a great Batman voice," and then you're like, "No, it's not that good." Then I do it on other people, they're like, "Oh, that's a good one."
Yes, 'cause I'm trained to not give you fucking comments.
Yeah, so that's why I know you think it's a great Hugh Jackman voice.
No,
but
it's
no,
not that
I can't
good.
do that. God forbid I compliment
also,
my friend.
People just don't know. They just think they're like they don't know any differently.
The Wolverine.
They don't do podcasts.
That wasn't good.
They maybe seen
I'm not
Batman
trained
maybe
either.
once.
The Wolverine. No, I've lost it.
Yeah, you lost it. If I had my headphones on, maybe.
Okay,
The
so
Wolverine.
before we get into this,
That was better.
can we just, as a team, map the logistics of all these movies together?
What do you mean?
Yo,
So Wolverine
Are you
comes
trying?
after.
So you're okay. Let's get in the
Are
podcast.
you
and
asking
then
where this
you're
one
trying to find the
takes place?
timeline of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is this another origin situation where he
No.
thought he lost his memory for the whole movie?
No.
Okay,
No,
I will tell you.
didn't think. I knew he didn't lose his memory, but you guys.
No,
I
we
got
tricked
he
him.
tricked me.
Jedi mind
I
tricked
got
him
confused
by
as-
talking
as
about
we
the
were talking.
plot.
Yeah.
So this one, to my understanding, takes place after the third movie
Yes.
Okay.
because there's a lot of Gene stuff going on.
Yeah. So why
Okay.
would that confuse you, Kyle?
No, I'm just getting it clear now before I sound like a
So
fucking
everybody
idiot.
knows.
Before we start this,
The Wolverine. That was good.
I think I'm good here.
Okay, let's see here.
I don't know if I can stay like this for an hour, but we'll find out.
You think this is only going to be an hour? How long was that one?
That
last
was
one?
2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be.
I don't know.
felt
This
like
one
a
is a lot
2
more
hours.
simpler though.
Yeah.
There's
This is a
not-
pretty simple storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really that. Yeah.
And
A
we're
We'll get
lot
into
more
it.
subtitles than the last one, I feel.
And we're not meeting. We meet a bunch of new characters, but they're not like important. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
There-
Forgettable.
There's so many like Asian names that they use too. I wasn't even
Oh,
sure if they
yeah.
were speaking
I'll pull up that-
Japanese because I didn't have subtitles.
No, one of them was like, "Oh, this is Han from Fast and Furious," and that's all I got. Oh, it's just Han. I don't know his actual character name here.
Okay, let's read this Taylor thing quickly. I actually promise you it's not. To cover it simply, the radio station I listen to, Beach Radio, they do an annual money giveaway if you can listen to 3 songs and figure, oh my God.
Taylor, I listen to this every morning.
Why is he
Clearly, I
acting
know
like
the answer, and he should be getting a hold of me.
each time someone guesses wrong, the pool goes up by $100. The pool starts at 100, but now the pool is at 4,000 because no one is guessing right. But I have been recording people's guessings and narrowed down to one.
He's one of those
songs
psychos that just records everyone
Man,
that calls in.
and then why doesn't he just do it himself and get the $4,000 himself? Why does he have to?
Because I'm his fucking master. No,
Because I'm his master. Jeez, that's a weird relationship.
Yikes!
I have a list of other songs that are guaranteed not possibly the remaining 2 songs, but I need help to get the last 2. And I'd honestly split the money. I've
Hey,
let others
no
listen-
water on the table.
You're right.
Hey, who's this?
I've honestly.
Who's this scumbag? It's probably Taylor. Fucking message him right now. Tell him to come grab his cup.
I'll do it right now.
Is that a photo too, so he knows?
Oh, 100%.
Yes,
Is there lips on this?
it does.
We get a lip DNA sample. I don't see any lips. Was that those Batman Robin lips? Rubber lips.
Have you watched that movie recently? Because
No, but
the
I just
second time
keep-
you've quoted
It's that specific scene. It's so memorable. I like
Uh,
that movie. It's pretty bad, but I like it. Whatever happened to our DC retro? I kind of just forgot about.
I told you we do it for when movies are coming out
Okay.
because we just all got too busy.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to do TV shows anymore. So then I have a lot more free time because those take up a lot of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck. Spider-Man Retro took a lot of
He
time.
bounced the very last season. We had literally like just like 6 episodes left to record. And he's like, I'm
couldn't
not
do
doing it anymore.
I couldn't do
I can't do it.
anymore.
I remember like listening to like the return. It's like after 3 months.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Travis Reviews, the X-Men series with
Part
guests, aka X-Men Retrospective. This is going to be a wild one already.
Oh no.
You sound like a late night radio
Oh, yeah.
DJ with your voice.
Call in and I'll tell you about love and the Wolverine.
You can win $4,000.
Yeah, $4,000 if you guess this song. That's the song.
There was 3 songs in that. starting strong.
Oh yeah, I'm joined by the bland Cosmid and the rubber lips Kirkland Patson because you're the guests,
Yes.
you know. So no, if you want real nicknames, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna be the samurai Kyle.
I was gonna be the samurai.
Oh dang!
I'm gonna be the.
I was gonna be the silver samurai.
I'm gonna be the grizzled man.
you grizzle boy.
I don't know if that was a great nickname, Kirkland.
It wasn't. I was trying to go with some weird hunting name, but then
Why didn't you just go the hunter?
because that's too simple.
Because
It's gotta
that's
be
like
a-
Craven the hunter.
I am the grizzled hunter.
You could have went like the predator.
I don't want to be known as the predator.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is
Could have been
different
the
universe.
Michael Jackson, Kirkland
The
Patson,
MJ,
MJ Kirkland
Billie
Patson.
Jean.
Talk about predators. So we are reviewing every X-Men film from X-Men to Days of Future Past in honor of the X-Men Fox films coming to an end. Go ask Kyle about what the timeline is and you'll confuse him and ruin his day. We are reviewing every movie we've never reviewed on the podcast. So that's why we're stopping at Days of Future Past. So next week when you're listening to this, unless you're on Patreon, getting that early, thank you very much. That will be the last episode, but then after that, we will do a smaller ranking episode where we'll rank the films. We'll pick our top 10 characters, maybe scenes, something like that. We usually do that at the end of a retro just to do a wrap up. So we got 2 more episodes after this. All I can ask is please subscribe, and please, if you're on iTunes, give us a written review. It would help us out big time. We have a milestone. We're trying to hit 200 reviews. They have to be the written ones. The ratings are nice, but the written ones are the ones that count. So please, we're trying to get to 200. That would help us a lot. Let's get into. Do you guys have anything to say before we get into the Wolverine? That was a good one. Tell me how my Wolverine voice is.
I don't know.
That was a good
It's you and
one.
Travis.
You gotta think that moment when he's like fighting the dad samurai and he stabs him and he's like, "What are
Whoa!
you?"
Don't ruin the
And
movie
he's
like that.
And he's like, "What are
I
you?" And
haven't
he's
seen
like,
it yet.
"The Wolverine." And
what movie are you casting on?
the Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
It's my voice is also getting quieter as it goes along.
Yeah.
Wolverine comes to Japan to meet an old friend whose life he saved years ago and gets embroiled in a conspiracy involving Yakuza and mutants. That is broad strokes if I ever heard a plot synopsis.
Hugely broad
That's
strokes.
it.
We've had synopsi. Is that the right? Is that like
It
the
is
plural?
now. As Thor says,
it
all
actually?
worlds are made up.
All right, we'll do that. So, is it actually like plural synopsis?
Just go.
Just say
The
synopsis.
synopsis. We've had synopsis that are so in detail that I don't have to watch the movie. And this one is not even telling me anything about this movie. And I
Yeah, it
appreciate
did.
it.
Yeah, I did. What are you talking
Wolverine
about?
goes to
Appreciate it.
Japan
Yeah.
to meet an old friend.
We don't know he has a beard at the beginning.
No, we don't.
That beard though.
So Wolverine. This movie,
Hugh is jacked.
Hugh Jack. This is prime. This in Days of Future Past, he is massive. He looks legitimately like a comic book character. He doesn't even look real. He looks fantastic though. Just the shape he's in, his muscles, like he has any excuse to have his shirt off in this movie, and I'm glad he does because he's just massive. I like this movie a lot. I got a T-shirt of it. If you can see right there, it's not great because over the
faded.
years it's faded quite a bit. But I'm a big fan of this movie. If you've been listening to this retrospective, like I say, it's anytime Hugh Jackman's on screen as Wolverine, it's a good time. I think the movie is on its way to be a great one of the best X-Men movies until the third act happens. And it's probably, honestly, in superhero films, maybe one of the worst endings. Just everything that transpires. It doesn't fit the entire film is this great, slow, in-depth, like, character study of Wolverine. And then it just becomes, like, comic book 101 of fighting fucking metal robots and snake girls. And don't sign me up. It's still fine. It's whatever. I can like this movie a lot more now that we have Logan, because to me, the first half of this movie feels like Logan.
I was totally going to mention that, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same director, James Mangold. He did Walk the Line. He's done a lot of other good films. But it feels a lot like Logan. And then the other half just feels like he had to get comic booky. I'm not sure if that was his choice. And I think it was more the studio being like, hey, can we get a bit more action and whatnot? So to me, at that time when it came out, I really liked it, but I was always a little bit disappointed. Like, oh, it was going so good, and it just never got to that. Because the previews looked phenomenal, like Logan. I thought this is going to be a great comic book movie. It just turned out being, to me, a good one. Where now with Logan, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. But I was always a little disappointed in this movie when I liked the beginning, and that's the whole movie I thought we'd get, and then it got kind of weird, but we got Logan, so I'm happy. That's one of, if not the best comic movie of all time. So this now is just good. I'm excited to talk about this because there's some weird stuff that happens in this. And Kyle can attest to this, that I rocked this haircut for like a year at Best Buy. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
this is
I'll
true.
try to. You know what? Right now for the video listeners, a picture will come up, and it was wild. It was No, you know what? I guess it didn't help that some people said they liked the look. Now I go back and look at it. I don't think it was a wise decision. So big shout out to Emily, that was year like 2 of our relationship, and she's still stuck with me. So real trooper. But
No lamb chops though.
no, I've tried, but I
Yeah.
can't. I think the problem was too. I was not big enough. So if I ever do it again, but there's times where I've seen pictures or I've thought about doing it, and I'm just like, no, I can't. Not at this age with a.
What about like if it's like a special like Halloween event?
Yeah, oh, that's fine. I got to pass. But I was rocking this every day of my life.
Okay.
The same way, like his spiked in the middle and it spiked up like that. Like Kyle couldn't test. It was the full on Wolverine hair, and
He did it.
yeah, and people liked it. And I think the other people that didn't like it just didn't say anything. But Kyle never said anything.
Did you like it?
I just ignore everything he says about his hair. So
Okay.
Wow,
yeah,
That's very safe.
one of my best friends just treats me like shit.
He talks about his
so.
hair
all the
almost
time.
as much as he talks about
When I
the
hear
Wolverine.
he starts talking about it, it just goes over my head. Like hair.
Why? I would listen to you if you talk about your guys' hair.
Nah, I don't need to talk about
I
my
don't
hair.
need some of my hair.
Talk about the Wolverine, one of you.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go.
Kyle, when's this take place?
I was just inhaling.
You look like you're about
I was
to
just
go.
trying to stay alive.
Oh no. So I kind of like how like simple this movie was. It's kind of just an easy watch and like not complicated like the other X-Men movies that we've had in the past. So I thought it was a pretty good movie overall, and kind of nice to be in a different setting and just something completely different from everywhere else that we've seen before, and not like the end of the world or type of ending that we would usually get. So that's
That's
nice.
true. I like that.
Yeah.
That's not a big bubble's gonna explode or something like that.
Yeah, or like nukes and stuff. So no, that's what I enjoyed. It was more about, I guess, what we kind of alluded to is more character development on Wolverine and him kind of going through this transitional period. So I quite enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because comparing it to like the other X-Men's that we watch, I feel like majority of them are like, if they don't win, it's the end of the world, right? Whereas this one's like, if he doesn't win, he's dead basically. So that's the end of his story. But no, I really enjoyed this. It just felt like a simple action movie. I kind of because this is again similar to First Class. This is the second time I've seen this movie, and
Theme.
thank you, Travis, for pointing that out. And I didn't realize, maybe because I've seen Logan and then watching this again, I like kind of didn't realize that this one had those Logan like vibes to it of just like that internal struggle of like he's been living for so long, and then he's just like haunted by the Jean Grey memories. I'll specify. Like it's just just.
Shout out
What?
to our last
What?
podcast. I know what you're going for, but Kyle's not having any of
I looked
it.
at you and you're smiling. I look at Kyle. He's just so unimpressed.
No.
No, I'm just listening. I'm active listening to you.
I appreciate it. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Of like the internal conflict. I feel like most of this movie is kind of internal conflict for Wolverine until you get to that later act of it's not just he found a reason to keep living as opposed to just like every day is just hell because he can't die, right? So it was kind of interesting, like seeing that with the Logan knowledge that I have. So maybe the first time I watched it, I didn't really pick up on that because I just thought it was just like a very simple action movie, nothing game changing. But overall, I really liked it. I was pretty confused because there's a lot of subtitles, a lot of Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese, and I did not have subtitles to watch this, so took the big L on that one.
Theme.
Theme. It's like what is it? Smash poetry or whatever.
Yeah.
Theme. I don't have subtitles.
Slam poetry. That's
Slam, not smash poetry.
Smash.
That's what girls
Oh,
told me after like bed.
that was
you know.
Smash poetry.
Yeah, smash poetry. You were all right, and I just cried.
Theme.
Yeah, her friends would pop up, and
I'm
you're watching the
friends,
whole
man.
time.
This is gonna be a lit cast. Okay.
Theme. This is my second time.
Overall, I'm I just lost now. Just carry on. Jeez. I'm done with my overview.
Overall, you liked it.
Overall,
It was a
I
good
liked
movie.
it. I like Japan. Shouts out to Japan.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I
Theme.
found
We're not
a
gonna
reoccurring
date.
theme with these X-Men movies. There's a
Theme.
lot of flashbacks at the beginning of any X-Men movie, I feel like. Like, what's the percentage of all the movies that we watched?
I was just trying to think, what was the flashback at the beginning of this movie?
Hiroshima, man.
Oh yeah,
That is true. I was on Kyle's bandwagon until that happened. So we have X1 flashback. You got Rogue and Magneto.
Yeah.
X2 not flashback because that was Nightcrawler. That was present day and was
Right.
working for
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
X3 you got the Jean flashback. X-Men Origins is like a whole flashback,
Yeah.
but really that's not a flashback because it starts with them as kids and moves
I'll
forward,
give you
right?
that one. That's like a point.
And then First Class was a flashback. So far we're 3 out of 5. So over
Jeez,
50%. And now this. So now we're, what is that? We're 4 out of 6. So the percentages just went way up.
Yeah.
What's that? Go.
It's 66.6 repeating
To the
percentage.
infinity.
It's 4 out of 6, so and then it's 2 out of 3.
Theme. So that's crazy. And Days of Future Past. I can't remember, but
The whole thing is a flashback.
lots of these movies you can make the case
Yeah.
are all, the last 3 movies we reviewed could be all flashbacks. No.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it.
Cool.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into this. So yeah, we start off. What do you, Kirkland? You can start because we start at the Hiroshima. What do you think about that sequence? And that's
I
a setup to him meeting
forget his name.
that guy.
Yakuza.
No,
that's
his
the
name
gang.
is.
No,
Hi, my
I'm
name
sorry.
is Yakuza.
that we're gonna butcher all these Japanese names.
Yoshida. We meet
Yoshida.
young Yoshida.
Young Yoshida. I really liked it. It doesn't really explain like how he got there. Is that just because he was in the war and
He's
he's
in
a
the war, right?
prisoner of
X-Men
war?
Origins. Didn't you see it?
I glanced over it.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. It shows like the character of that. Shows that character of that character. I
Yoshida.
was trying to say. Shows the character of Yoshida about like he kind of knows shit's hitting the fan and he wants to, instead of just letting these prisoners just like burn in their little holes, like let them having like a running chance, right? So I appreciate that, and then it really just right at the beginning you just feel that this character is just good and wholehearted from the get go. So I liked it. I liked how you saw Logan in there with his bone claws, just kind of like just kind
OG
of
Logan.
yeah, totally OG Logan. Just watching out what's going on. I don't know. It was like visually when the bombs drop too. It's pretty cool. Just having roasted Wolverine there, just like sitting there. Oh,
Stuff made out of horror movies.
yeah, that was pretty gruesome. But overall, I liked it. I like how the soldiers are like seppukuing themselves. I don't know. It's a Japanese thing of honor. So, shouts out to Japan.
I'm not gonna show him up for that.
No, I'm not gonna show. I didn't think it was cool. I thought it was very powerful imagery that they provide, like they showed us of this whole incident that was happening. So, again, like it was cool. It wasn't cool. Damn it, Kirkland. Oh, it was not cool.
I was looking at you the whole time. Say it.
I enjoyed how Wolverine came and did help that guy out. I thought that was very interesting and very powerful as well too. Of this guy like did entrap you, and now you're trying to save him. So for the gooder of the people. Man, this is not good. These guys are awful right now.
I thought the scene was pretty bland, you know? No. Shout out to our last class. I like the scene. I have
You
nothing.
thought it was bland?
No, I'm joking. Shout out to the last cast we did. Everything these guys said about the scene was right. My 2 nitpicks are, 1, when he gets exploded, why does his hair grow back? It's always bugged me to the exact length. I don't think that should be a
Perfect
power.
length.
And the
Yeah, that's
other
a
thing that
power.
bugs me is this is a flashback. I hate that I get what they're doing because he's in Japan, but his hairstyle's the identical hairstyle he does have in present day. I wish they would have changed, just even spiked it differently, not had it spike. It's just
He's
weird.
had that same hairstyle for the last
No, he
100
hasn't.
years.
Because Hiroshima scene technically takes place before Wolverine Origins, right?
Wolverine Origins, he had locks.
Exactly. So he has had different hair, and in X3 he had the fucking huge wall. Like so I wish he just didn't even they didn't even spike it. Just just sweaty.
But they
wet
gave him the
hair.
beard. It was
That's fine. That have a beard, but just that you can if you grow a beard and you don't even shave, it's just the beard. That's probably gonna look very similar the whole time. Your hair, as we were talking about before, cast, it changes quite a bit. Like my hair to attest, it changes quite a bit. So the fact that his hair in Hiroshima and then in 2013 was the exact same, Nuh-uh. I'm not buying it.
The hair guy's not buying it.
No.
I'll let it pass.
I let it
100%.
pass.
That's
yeah.
such bullshit. Anyways, so and then he wakes up violently. I love this stuff because this is in my trivia. I might pull it up
It's like
now.
an
No,
Inception,
leave it for
right, when he
trivia.
wakes up?
What?
It's like an Inception, right? When
Kind
he wakes up,
of.
because he wakes up while still dreaming, right?
Or is he in a dream within a dream?
Well, kind of. I don't care.
Because he wakes up twice.
He does, yeah.
I was asking.
I-
I wasn't like accusing you.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, he is.
He is still dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting caught.
But we don't know that
Yeah.
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, I am using this trivia right now because it's just going into my point. According to James McAvoy, shit.
Ian McKellen. I mean, James McKellen.
James. No, it was Ian McAvoy.
It was Ian McAvoy, yeah.
Honestly, we're doing the Wolverine. This is a cast you really need to listen to the First Class and Wolverine one back to back because we already have a lot of callbacks. But according to the director, James Mangold.
Oh my god, you were so off.
I was. Not really. Mangold McAvoy? Come on, no. It goes MC, fuck off. Actually,
fuck
no, it
off.
doesn't, Mangold.
That's my rap name.
The movie had started out as a prequel to X-Men, and I remember hearing this for the whole time while pre-production was going on, that the Wolverine was going to be after Origins. That happened. Remember, in Origins 1, the end credit scenes is him drinking in Japan. So they really said that was going to
Right.
be still a prequel movie. But he said he decided to make a sequel to X-Men Last Stand. I wanted to tell the story without the burden of handing it off to a film that already exists, having to conform to it. The ideas of immortality reign very heavily in this story, and that's a burden immortality weighs heavily on Logan. For me, it was such an interesting part of Logan's character that is nearly impossible to explore in a prequel. And I like that. I think this movie, I remember when the first preview came out and it was Jean in there. I think that was a great move because I think as a prequel, this movie, it still works the way it works, but nowhere near as good as like that. The two things there. One, him talking about immortality. It doesn't work in the prequel sense because he had just got his memory. So it's like he's still pretty fresh in his life. This is like he's killed Jean. And yeah, okay, so X3, we did the review. Not a great movie. But if you just take the ideas of, you know, like screenwriting, the acting, stuff like the story, just take the ideas like what happened in the movie in this world, him having to kill this woman he loved, big deal. And he's obviously very shook up and depressed about it. He's seeing other people pass away. He's dealing with just living and living and living. So I think the fact that they made this a sequel instead of prequel was like a home run because this movie's not perfect, but I think it made it a lot better in all aspects. So
Yeah.
that's why to transition to my thoughts about Jean, we'll probably talk about her again, but I love all the Jean stuff because to me, you get this sense of three Jeans going on. You get like regular nice Jean, you get Dark Phoenix Jean, and then you just get this version that Logan's made up in his head that was never real. Just like, oh, you should come with me. Like yeah, like she was a little wishy-washy, but she was never going to leave Scott for him, you know, and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and I do love, like, it's jumping to the very end, but that's where there's still parts of real Jean because he says, I love you. I'm always going to love you. She just looks back and walk away. She never is like, oh, I love you too. Logan.
Yeah.
Like, even though we talk about how much shit they deal Cyclops, they still were, like, on point with how Jean acted, even though she's not the greatest character in the original movie. So all the Jean stuff, I think it worked out great. Even the beginning of the film when he's saying he doesn't want to kill anymore, he's done with that. He keeps having these dreams about like knives and Jean. Fantastic. Really liked
Yeah.
all the Jean stuff. So
No, yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. Especially like the point on was it the director's decision to make this a sequel?
yeah, because the same thing. He didn't want the First Class effect
Yeah.
of like, oh, this didn't match up and this didn't match
Yeah,
up.
no,
so.
I 100% like agree, and I'm happy that he made that decision because the Gene stuff was phenomenal. It was definitely like there was no Gene stuff that I was like getting a little too much with this or didn't really appreciate there. And I like your point of they had the multiple genes too, like regular Gene,
Yeah.
the Dark Phoenix genes. It was kind of creepy. I definitely did not remember that from the first time I watched that. So and then like the make believe Gene that he kind of just fantasizes about, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. That's their little because especially like when he wakes up the first time. I haven't seen this movie in so long. I was like, what the heck? Like, what time period are we? I was like Kyle trying to get my whiteboard out and do my flow charts. But yeah, no, it was great. And then like I believe he stabs her, right? And then she's like in the dream. right
Yeah,
at the end.
well, yeah, she just like looks down his knives or
Yeah.
and everything
So
like that.
and then
yeah.
it kind of hits you, and then he wakes up again. That's where I was getting on that
That's Hobo
Inception
Logan.
question. Yeah. So yeah, no, I love the Gene stuff.
Yeah, I had nothing more to add. I think you guys really hit that home. So
And there's just one other scene because I know I might forget. I love when he does sleep with oh God, what's her name?
Himiko, I think.
yeah, he sleeps with that one girl.
Mariko.
What the hell
Mariko.
did I say? Himiko. That's
It's
not right.
Mariko. When they sleep together, and then like I like that it is a romance, but it's not. To me, you don't get the set.
It's
She
not-
asks him to stay, but it feels just more like they're getting it on, and maybe she'd be down to it. Like it doesn't feel like this like big like love or something like that. So
It's like I've never had a Wolverine before.
yeah, and she asks him to stay, but you can tell she's not like crying when he leaves.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, you should stay." No, okay, well, I asked, but like,
I tried.
yeah, I tried. We've all been there, but like,
Shoot your shot.
yeah, exactly. He took the Han Solo try, but what was I gonna say is that when they do sleep together, he's still like fantasizing about Jean. Like that's still the person he talks to, and I just love that she just says like this cold line, just like you just know. She's like, you know, this isn't gonna end well, and they don't even like you know what it's implying just because everyone around him dies. But that's what I like. It does. You could take her out of the movie, and the movie still works, but I think she just adds to it. So yeah, I like all that stuff, and
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if you really could take her out though, because she's such a major like factor in the internal conflict that he faces of he has to like live forever, but also like he has to live forever with the knowledge and feelings that he murdered the one he loves, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
I don't know. I
think
I
you-
took her fairly important to the
I think
story.
I mean, you could like Mariko, you couldn't take out because the whole plot crumbles,
Yeah.
right? I think you could take out all these dream sequences and the movie could work, but I don't think nearly as
No,
good as
okay.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
and that's
agree
where
with
I think Mangold, who's a great director, obviously gave us Logan. I think lesser directors wouldn't think about that, and I think that's just the type of stuff that I like in these type of movies. The same thing in Deadpool 2, why I like it better than the first one. I love all those scenes he has with his oh God, what's her name? Like Vanessa when she gets
Yeah.
killed off. Like
I liked all
I
that stuff
like
too.
taking those deep dives into characters, especially if it's just about the Wolverine or Logan. That's the time to do. I like slower, even the Dark Knight when they do that. I like slower movies that are character based. So, and that's what I was gonna say. I could have watched a whole hour of just the adventures of. I could watch a whole movie of the adventures of Hobo Logan. I love everything.
100% agree with you. Like
Yeah.
seriously, that should be like its own like series.
Yeah, the first half an hour of this movie is great. His whole little back and forth with the bear, they're like
Oh,
tracking
I
each other.
loved it. Yeah.
And just that scene when those hunters kill him and he has to kill the bear, and it's sad. You don't even know this bear. You
No.
saw him one scene, but he has to kill the bear. But that scene when he goes down to the bar and just like, oh, you guys want attacked by a grizzly? I'd like to buy you a drink. And he starts off all friendly.
Yeah.
And it just like escalates and escalates, and he's just such a badass in that scene. And he's
So
just like,
good.
"Oh, sorry, Gene." And he gets his claws out.
Yeah.
And one line I'll say before I go, he's like, he has that dart or whatever. He's like, "Ask me where I found it." And then he's stabbed. What is he stabbed? A glass in the guy's hand, right?
No,
Oh
it
no, he
was
stabbed
the
the arrow,
arrow.
right?
He
stabbed
And
the
he's
arrow.
asked me where I found it, and he shoves it again. He's like, "Ask me." And the guy goes, "Where'd you find it?" And he goes, "Funny you should ask."
Yeah, I love that.
He is just so good. Like, obviously, he does not quip as much as like a Downey, but he just still has those down, even at the point where it's a terrible, terrible line, but he makes it work at the end. I'm jumping to the very end when he kills Yoshida, and he's like, "You asked me to come say goodbye." What is it?
Sayonara.
Sayonara, and he throws him off the thing. That's such an awful,
So cheesy.
cheesy 80s line,
Yeah.
but he makes it work somehow,
No.
you know, and he's just great. But this whole
I-
everything about this, the look, I love this part of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like if this was his first movie as Wolverine, I don't think he could pull off that sayonara line. But
Sayonara.
because
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's just grown as the Wolverine, right? It's just it's great getting to watch all these X-Men movies because you get to see the development of Hugh Jackman. It's just as that role, and he's just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like it was one of the trivia's actually. I know I'm kind of getting off track.
Oh
but
wow, he's stealing
Still
my
trivia?
Gimmick. He's
Oh, no.
stealing my gimmick.
Yeah. No, but I believe it was on I think it was the first movie, but you said Hugh Jackman didn't feel like he was the right thickness till what movie was it? Was it this one?
movie. This
Oh,
was when
okay.
he said he finally felt like he got
Yeah.
the physique down. Then
Yeah.
he kept it up for Days of Future Past, and he kind of did for Logan, but not the same extent because he's playing like an older,
Yeah.
beaten down. But he's still in great shape in Logan. So
Yeah.
I have some notes about how he got so bulked after. So.
Oh man, but yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like that intro scene. I'm assuming he's in Canada.
I think
He could be.
Little
So.
mountain town.
His
He's
grizzly
Canadian,
bears,
going back
yeah.
to his hometown.
Yeah.
Quite possible.
yeah.
And just living in the cave. And then I was kind of confused at first when he pulls out the arrow because he kind of like sniffs it, and then obviously later on you find out the poison. And then it's so great when he stabs that guy, and then he's like, "I thought poison tips were illegal," and he's like, "I forget like specifically what he said, but he's like, "Oh no, it's not poison." He's like, "You have nothing to worry about, right?" Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. I love that whole intro.
And I will say this is, I'm not sure if you've ever read, but I have the comic book. This is based off a very Chris Claremont famous run of when he does go to Japan. And they don't copy beat for beat, but this whole thing with the bear is in there.
Okay.
It's different because the bear attacks him, and then he has to kill the bear, and he figures out that bear was...
Because it was deranged.
poison.
got
But
poisoned.
so, like, it's not exactly, but it's very similar. They follow a lot of beats. Same thing, he goes to Japan.
Is he hobo, Logan?
What?
With the
No,
beard?
no,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
bit different in this time because Scott and Jean just got married and he's pretty pissed off, so he's kind of just wandering the earth and things like that. If I recall, if that's how it goes. The other thing is that happens from this storyline is obviously they're not going to introduce in the movies, but your Mariko, they when he sleeps together, they leave that she is pregnant and he never knows, and
Oh.
she has a son and it's named Dakin. And he's a bisexual version of his dad, and he's kind of a villain and whatnot. He's Wolverine with a mohawk. So yeah,
And he's got the claws, or is it?
he has the claws.
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
bone or
No,
actually
it's adamantine because somebody's like, we can do the same thing to
Okay.
you and blah blah blah. So
Makes
I
sense.
like Dakin. He's no X-23, but I wish we would saw Dakin. So maybe one day. So
Feige.
I'm fine with that.
Feige will revive Dakin.
why not? It's and it should because they're for the LGBTQTWIX. Like
yeah.
there's all these things on there.
Sure, I guess.
There's not many characters like that, having a bisexual like Wolverine character would be, something good to the addition.
Just like I didn't really care about the you know what? I'm not going down this road.
It's transphobic.
You know what? I
Kyle.
really like the beginning of this movie.
Oh, wow. It's hard to
I thought it was very interesting. Just the shots that they made, like even when he's just walking through the woods and the bear and kind of looking back and forth.
Bear, very CGI, I must add. But
Yeah, that's fine.
give it to 'em.
That's expected. I really feel like this. Well, it's all of it's kind of like overdone.
should have had a real
CGI.
bear, man.
I know.
I'm sorry, Kyle. I keep cutting you off.
I feel like Hugh Jackman really filled out, like really fit this role. Like he really nailed it. Where I felt like this is like the Wolverine, and out of all the other movies that we've watched, maybe just because we got a lot more character development through this one, and he could be a little bit more dramatic acting instead of kind of that.
You didn't feel his peak was with Origins?
That hair, though. His hair peaked.
I think it has a lot to do with the directing and the writing, and they just really portrayed like this is what I see as like Wolverine was from this movie, compared to what we've seen in the past. So
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that because I remember like when I first saw those original movies, I didn't really like grow up reading the comics, so I always just saw that as my Wolverine. It was just like,
same here, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you just say that this?
No,
Wolverine
like
was
I
more-
grew up. I didn't read the comics.
Oh, okay.
So like I grew up like seeing some of those
Yeah.
movies, but like this is like the Wolverine that I would like. Like when I think about it, like this is like him and Logan as well too. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah, that old man Logan.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think this whole sequence at the beginning was great, and even when we get introduced to the what's her
Yukio.
Yukio, yeah, even like she's pretty cool too.
The red haired chick, right?
Yeah,
You okay.
I liked her entrance as well, and kind of letting Logan do his own thing, but then just showing everyone up, like basically like we don't need to fight, like we just need to get out of here and leave, like it's not worth our time. So no, it was good.
So Dakin, he's bisexual, and what happens is Yukio says, "Hey, Yoshida, friend of yours, blah blah." He talks about just their background, what we saw in the flashback. He wants to say bye. Logan thinks something's up, but he says, "Okay, I'm gonna go," because it kind of insinuated that the cops are looking for him. So he kind of decides, "I'll go with her."
I'm assuming because of the bar fight.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you're gonna be fine. You're gonna mess them up. Like they're not gonna arrest you, but it's fine. So he goes
No
to
one beats the law,
Japan.
Travis.
Yeah, he goes to Japan. Lots of stuff ensues there. He gets a bath. Where man, that's where you see Hugh Jackman is just jacked to the gills when they're washing and
Fuck,
everything like
yeah.
that. It's just like this portion I do like, but he's just like being walked around the facility, being set up to
It's almost
every
like he's
plot
brainwashed,
point.
right?
Well,
He's just not even thinking. He's just like, go this way. Like they're
Yeah.
guiding him.
And like he's just being introduced to every plot point he's gonna deal with in the movie. Mariko's like
And they're, like, all in the same
ex-boyfriend.
room,
Yeah.
yeah.
Her father's training. Oh, he's good. Oh, and then Yukio like he's not that good. Like so it's good, but he's just like, oh, these are all the characters you're gonna have problems with. And then he goes to Yoshida, and Yoshida wants to take away his healing powers and give him a life. I think they don't really ever in this movie, which is fine, but I don't think they ever really clearly answer why Logan declines the invitation to do this because he's pretty depressed.
Well, originally he's like, you don't want what I got.
Yeah, but the guy does want what he got. Like
It's weak.
I think that's the weakest part of the first half. The rest of it's all crisp, and it's fine. Maybe he just doesn't want to pass it on, or he does still classic torn soul, just living with it. But that's the only part. But it's all good stuff. Mariko tries to jump off a building because her dad hit her. There's there's lots of stuff that goes on here.
Yeah.
No comments on this.
No comments at all.
No, you said it well though. It's just like he's definitely introduced to all the plot points, and it's hilarious because they're like in the middle. It's hard to describe the building, but it's just like he's in like the little courtyard, and then it's where you see like different rooms, and you just see like the what's her name? Jeez,
Mariko.
Yeah, it's you see her dad like fighting the one dude,
Yeah.
and then it's like you see like the sick dad or sick grandpa, I guess. Yoshida, and then what was her like soon to be husband there actually?
Yeah, he's
he
kind of
was
just like on a phone, dude.
Yeah.
Because they play it off like because it's arranged marriage, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's some comment about that, like, oh,
Yeah.
she's.
I think she says that.
Yeah, she's like it's arranged. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We're told that they're getting married, and
Yeah.
clearly
She doesn't want to.
She doesn't want to,
Yeah.
and then she also has that ex-boyfriend that we find out about later with the bow and stuff, which is a strange plot
Right.
line. So anyway, Logan feels a little pissed off because she's like, oh, just to say goodbye, huh? They pull the wool over his eyes. Not the reason there. And then so he gets another dream sequence with Jean, and then we get this thing with Viper. And I want to talk about Viper because it's kind of a big sigh. She's definitely the part of the movie that for me doesn't work, and maybe we'll take like a little detour here for a second because we usually try to go in order. But the things that really don't work for me are her obviously last plot and like Mariko's ex-boyfriend with the bow and arrow, which I hate because I got to look at Will Young Lee. I love that actor. He was so good. What do you know him from?
He's in Fast.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in Fast and Furious. He's played Holland.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
What?
Kyle.
Oh no.
I
Just a
don't think so.
racist.
You are.
Apparently.
you're offending the gay community.
I did not offend. You just put that idea
No,
out there.
You did, but like I'm not going to talk about.
No, I was going to go way off on another tangent, which was inappropriate. So
Okay.
I have
sure.
nothing wrong with the gay community.
I didn't say he did. Everyone knows we're joking, and I wasn't making fun of the letters. I've just forgot. I've tried to learn how many letters are in the. I used to know it was the LGQBT community, but now I think
There's
it's
a
like,
lot
in
more
there.
hours.
No,
there's
they-
three
they
other
added-
letters,
they added
and I don't
more.
do that out of offense. I just can't remember, and as you can see, I can't even remember half these characters' names. So it's just we're dumb. Viper,
That's exactly it. We're
yeah,
just dumb
it's not
people.
offensive. It's done. I don't care what you are. If you're green, this or that, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I'm getting them mixed up.
The Asians and
Yeah.
the gays.
God damn. This is not the podcast to talk about this stuff.
Oh, it's fine. People know our joke. We're not saying anything offensive. William Lee, who is not Han, by the way.
No, he's not. That's what I just checked. You guys are
Go
dickheads.
watch Altered Carbon. I love that show. It's on Netflix. I've told the entire Geekverse to watch this, and no one ever does. Did you?
Yeah, of course. I watched it the week it came out.
Why didn't you ever talk to me about it?
It was amazing. We
Yeah,
could have
it's
a cast about it maybe another time.
I reviewed it already.
Travis
But
told me, and I've
Did-
yet to watch it.
quickly, did you know season 2 is happening?
Oh, really?
And Anthony Mackie is going to be the main star. Because remember how they can switch skin? So he's switching into Anthony Mackie.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Great show. Check it out. If you like Blade Runner or space sci-fi or like space noir, great show.
I didn't give it the chance because I knew there was no season 2.
There is a season 2, though.
but now I'll watch it.
Anyways, Will Youngley, he plays the real version of him. Remember when it's like because he's actually an Asian man?
Yeah.
That's who he plays, and he's great in that show.
He is.
And in this movie, he's nothing. He's just looking. He's doing stuff. I don't understand. And like I said, I'm going out of order, but it's revealed at some point that Viper's working with. All we know is there's the Yakuza that is after Mariko, right? And something bad's gonna happen. They're trying to kidnap her, and it's assumed because she's gonna take control of Yoshida's company now. But all we know is Viper and what's his name, Harada. That's the guy that's like the ex-boyfriend. Apparently, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Guy?
Yeah.
Is he is he a comic book like hero or something?
I think no on that part. I think he might be adapted from that storyline. I've not read it. Well, I own it, but nothing like huge character. He's not like
like Hawkeye.
He's not like Japan's Hawkeye. No, but like for some reason, all we know is Viper and him are tied to this Yakuza, and it just makes no sense. Everything that's going on. How does Viper? What is going on with this dream with Logan? How does she get this thing around his heart? Why is Bow and Arrow guy helping her out? Because it seems like, maybe he's doing it to protect Mariko, and then they get Mariko, and then he's kind of like saying they could be together, and Mariko stabs him, and he's still bad, and then all of a sudden he starts fighting Viper because it's just like, they're going to kill Mariko, but it just feels like the whole Yakuza's after her. Couldn't you put two and two together that clearly these people are not good for her? These characters make, and I don't know what Viper is. And before I hand over these two, because I'm sure Kyle's stuff to say on Viper because he did a huge eye roll for the audio listeners. She is the worst part of this movie. I have no offense against this actress. She's not even bad. It's just the lines they have her saying. She just feels like she's in the X-Men Origins version of this movie. There's that one moment where Yukio and Mariko are running away, and she's running after them, and she's just going, it's so bad, and she has the angel effect where she's spitting out stuff. And why does she skin herself? Why? Like, I know she's supposed to be like Viper and bald, but like it's just a blame effect. Like all the stuff, just like why she have to be bald? And it's just dumb. It's all so dumb. And we'll talk about the end too later when we get to it. But all of it, it makes me mad because the first half of this movie is not those characters. And like I said, same thing with Harada. I don't know what his motivations are. Sometimes he's protecting Mariko, sometimes he's not. He just feels like an idiot. So every time I watch this, just annoys the fuck out of me. So yeah.
I feel like you're my anger translator.
Yeah.
Because like everything you just said is what I just don't like about this character at all. Like when she changes like out of or into her skin, and like I guess at
and
first.
Why she put on that big green costume at the end? It's so comic
It's so
book.
dumb. Like it makes no sense at all. And like I guess like I was kind of confused. Like is she supposed to be this chemist or like at the beginning or doctor or?
Well, he just says she's my oncologist, but clearly she's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But is she?
And I'm wondering,
she's a mutant, I guess, right?
Well, obviously she's a mutant. She has to be a mutant.
Yeah.
But like the only reason why I think. Okay, so to go back to how does Wolverine get this like thing into his heart? I think it's like, wasn't it like he didn't drink some tea or some water or something
when he was sleeping? Because I remember he like wakes up and it's beside him like that foamy stuff. But she also like.
But she straddled him. So like, my idea was that she made him unconscious and then she put this in him.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, that could work too.
IMDb boards.
But it's just, and it's a weird dream thing. Because with Jean, he's like kissing her.
Yeah.
But then when he wakes up, it's like her. But then he's still dreaming. It's like a weird. I don't know. Not great.
Yeah. I feel like she's
great.
definitely
That's
a weak link in this whole movie here, and it was hard to watch. Like with her parts, and it really like brought it down in those sections as well too. Like especially when we talk about later at the final end scene, like I did not need her to be there at all.
Yeah,
like it would make more sense for that Harada. What's the other? Harada to just be him, and like him like is like fighting against the oh my goodness, I have to.
But it does
the
Yakuza. But like it doesn't make sense because we don't know what his motivations are in the movie.
No.
He's just protecting Mariko, but then I don't know. He's kidnapping her at the same time.
Yeah, I guess at the beginning of this movie, I was kind of confused of what was happening.
Yes,
because I thought this Harado guy was like kind of like backup for the. Oh my goodness, Mariko.
Yeah, that's
what's happening at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like when they're running away from
it's like protecting.
Yeah,
but then I don't understand how he just joins the Yakuza.
Oh, doesn't make any sense. And then like the little like like interaction that that he has with the Viper, like
Yeah.
In public.
yeah,
In
He's getting
yeah.
acid face.
it's like a
and
night
no one
market.
notices.
Nobody gives up.
Well, there's so many people there.
Oh.
People are just like, this is another
really?
day.
That's why I see a guy getting acid on his face. Oh, there's so many people here. I don't care. I'm gonna keep walking.
Oh man,
You know, it happened in Britain a lot. People just were going around and like spraying acid on people's faces. These
Really?
are facts. These are that's an actual fact.
Like, how recent is this?
This is a couple years ago.
Okay.
I want to see your references, your citations.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Was it
show you.
Viper?
I don't have a diploma, so I don't know if I could do that.
Oh, shouts out.
Viper
podcast.
does. Viper does.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I was not a big fan of this character at all. I really thought she brought
Ugh.
this whole thing down. And yeah, you're right. Like, this is not towards the actress at all. Like, it's what she was given, and
Yeah.
it kind of just brings you out of like what this whole movie was about. It was supposed to be feels a lot different from all the other X-Men movies that we've gotten in the past, but
that doesn't.
that
That
is
feels
like
like Origins.
straight out of
Yeah.
Origins.
Yeah.
It's like,
That
did they
whole
just do
sequence.
that to throw in another mutant in the movie or something? Like, it was just.
Because
I think so.
I
But like,
think so, yeah. Because I don't know if it was make it flashy. Same thing with her having that costume at the end. It stands out because everyone's dressed very realistically.
yeah,
And then you got her, and then you got the fucking 12-foot Silver Samurai, which
Yeah.
in the comics, the Silver Samurai is a character, but he's just a man who's a great samurai, like obviously a villain samurai, but he's
Yeah.
just very skilled. Like this massive robot that is built out of adamantium, this thing that's supposed to be this rare fucking metal, and what he has this gigantic robot
Where
of
they
it.
spent all the money
Are you-
possible to get.
Don't
this
give me
thing.
that. Are you kidding me? It's just such like
No, man.
it
that's
just
what they
feels like
said.
fan fiction where it's just like, oh, we'll throw Viper here and now we'll have a robot. And the robot's adamantium and it's just
Yeah.
like, and it has a samurai sword that lights
That's
up and
totally
can
what
cut
it
the
feels like.
adamantium. It
Yeah.
feels like kids talking. If this was a cartoon, I could go, okay, fine, but this isn't. Especially because the first half of this movie is so down to earth.
Yeah.
It's so weird that these are the choices that were made. I don't know, like I said, how it was made, but it's so weird.
Maybe there was like halfway through or towards the end, Fox was like, nah, like I don't know, like
It's
what
not
you're
testing
doing.
well. There's not enough
Yeah.
mutants in here. Not enough action.
It's not enough. We had to do reshoots,
Yeah.
and that's where all these people come from.
Put in the robot.
He can't just be in a suit, because he could have legitimately just been in the suit that was protecting him at the
Yeah.
beginning of the funeral.
Yeah, well,
And that would have been, so when he dies, there's a suit,
It's the Silver
it's the
Samurai.
silver samurai that protects him as he's like,
oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, no, well, I think
And-
that's supposed to be like a tribute to the OG comic because it looks kind of like that,
yeah,
and that's one thing they kind of do, but they never get onto it too much. In the comic, one of the biggest things is when he first bumps into, and funny enough, the ninjas are actually the hand in the comic book, like from Daredevil and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
but they can't be because Marvel owns them.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, when he bumps into them the very first time, he's like, "Whatever, I'm Wolverine," but they just kick his ass.
Oh yeah.
And it's supposed to be this thing where he realizes, like, oh man, like I'm not hot shit. Like normal people that are not mutants can kick my ass. That happens. But then I love the scene when the ninjas do kidnap him and they like arrow him up. That's cool. But we never get that scene of like him training or learning samurai ways. Like that's part of the
Yeah.
comic book too, where he is kind of trying to learn to center his anger, right, using samurai methods. I like a lot of the character stuff in this movie, but that's nothing about like him learning anything from Japan or the culture. Nothing happened. He just
No.
is down there to get it on with Mariko, and that's it. Like I think he's learning stuff, but not that. Like he
No,
never
not that.
has a
No.
moment where he gets back at the samurais or not. Like it's just
Yeah.
he's just still a fucking brute who's just I don't know. I'm gonna sayonara, you know, like yeah.
Yeah, that's why it just feels like kind of like halfway or more towards the end, like something just like falls apart where it's not
Switches.
like
The second Mariko gets kidnapped, it's a whole different movie. It changes into just like comic book like spewing, which
yeah,
it's fine, but it's
it
not
is like the classic comic book
Yeah.
movie, but yeah,
which the first part's not. Yeah. Kirkland, we've
Yeah.
been ranting a lot about those two. You got
It's pretty exhausting just thinking about like especially just hearing like 'cause
the replay of
yeah,
it.
it's just, like the whole you guys were kind of talking about everything there.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
kinda
we
went
don't
on a
need to
huge
talk about
tangent.
those scenes when we get to them as far
Yeah.
as Viper and
Yeah,
whatnot,
like-
but
And then like the whole are we just talking about like the end scene right now?
go ahead. We're
Yeah.
at this is a crazy cast already,
Yeah,
so you know
I-
whatever. Penultimate episode.
Like the whole silver samurai like reveal, and it was Yoshida the whole time. It's just like I don't know. It seemed pretty underwhelming, especially with how comic booky it did feel. And then like you mentioned, like
oh,
Yeah.
Logan,
Mhm.
fake death, and like everything.
yeah, and like
Oh,
how you
no.
mentioned like the first majority of this movie is so down to earth and like it makes sense. Like it just feels like almost like a Logan story, right? Where it's not over the top of this Viper chick with her green. Yeah. It like puts a bad taste in my mouth just thinking about like the ending of this movie because it starts so strong, and then when you said what's her name?
Mariko, the love interest.
Mariko,
yeah.
yes.
Mariko.
When she gets taken, are you talking about from?
It's so weird because they're hiding out some
twice.
What?
When taken twice.
Oh, right. The first time that he captures her on the train sequence, which we'll talk about, great sequence.
Yeah.
But the second time is when they sleep together and they're hiding out in some like cottage or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just find her and they just take her and then he's running after her.
Oh, is that when they go to the island where the bombs drop?
Yeah. And they just find them very easily. And the scene is just quick. They kidnap her and she's gone.
He did say, she's like, oh, I'm going to where we're from or like where I was.
And he was like,
whatever place. And he's like, that's a bad idea. And she's like, nah, we're doing it. They won't find us. And he's like, all right, but like, did say it was a bad idea, and they did find her.
I guess I'm fine with that. I think it was to me just underwhelming that he wakes up and she's gone, and then he hears screaming. He runs. They shoot him, and it's like, okay, she's gone. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, there's quite a few moments like that happened. I was just like, I'll just turn my head the other way and just get along with this movie because it's weird when a movie.
Dad's robe's open again.
Yeah, don't look there. It's funny or it's strange having a movie like this where it starts so strong and then it just goes downhill. Where I don't know, like sometimes
Origins just stays bad. That's
why
I'm not saying
this is
definitely not worse than Origins, but. With Origins, just like you're never expecting greatness, so you just kind of get numb to it.
Yeah. And then like a ridiculous scene happen, you're like, oh, that's kind of funny. Whereas this one, it's like a ridiculous scene happens, it's like that does not belong.
It pisses you off.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's like I expected so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we go back to
Yoshida dies. The big thing is Yukio. It's been known that her mutant power is she can see the future, something like that.
Right.
Yoshida dies. She didn't see that, so it's kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Get it? He's gonna be the bad guy. Because I felt that way in the first time I saw that. Because I think the original Silver Samurai is Mariko's dad in the comic books. The guy that they does have the fight with at the end, who's just like. Just abusive father number one, like that's like he's just that's all his characters. He's just an asshole who hates his daughter, wants company. That he has no levels whatsoever.
Well, it's weird 'cause they kind of introduce like a weird like you should kind of be rooting for him because
I want to hear why you should be rooting for him.
Well, because I forget which character it was, but someone mentions it to Logan that Ishida, he was taking all the company's money to like build this super suit or something, and then the son found out and he was trying to hide it to like I don't know help out the father, and then I guess the problem is like a morality play or a moral play.
I think the problem is you probably find out information, but then like less than 5 minutes later he hits his daughter.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So it's like I remember like kind of hearing that, and then I feel like
he's a good guy.
I feel like they were like interweaving some Japanese in there, so I didn't get all the subtitles. I just got the English part, but yeah, it was. I just remember that one moment. It's like I feel like I should kind of be rooting for this guy, but like everything I've seen, he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
So
Yoshida dies. Wolverine stays for the funeral. He was gonna leave, but he stays for that. He thinks something's going on. He sees
the
people.
Yakuza.
Yeah, the Yakuza. He's just getting a bad vibe. One thing
with the tattoos,
because
if you didn't know, if you have long tattoos like that, you should be covering them up in Japan because people affiliate that to Yakuza.
Well,
good to know.
That's why. That's how Logan knew what I don't know how he like put two and two together.
He's a smart man.
Maybe read a book. Yeah, who knows?
Oh, yeah, his long plane ride, 15 hours.
That's right.
And then one thing, a twist I did like in this movie, because I remember they showed in the trailers, that's great, that's something new. I like that his healing's taken away. So the fact of, like, obviously he can't die because he's no fucking metal man. So, like, you can't, like, get past the actual metal to kill him. But I like the idea that he was slower, he couldn't fight as good, and already got the samurai or the Yakuza kicking his butt. But I like that. That was a good addition. And I think that whole sequence of Mariko and him on the run, going place to place, I love the bullet train sequence. I think that's phenomenal, very intense. And all the way up until they get to that, like, sex, like, love hotel where they got to stay. I think that's really good. It's like, it's mostly just action, but it's really good. I think pretty gritty, as realistic as possible as you can with a guy with claws.
Yeah,
action,
I like how she's trying to like escape from him, and then she's like, "Oh, I finally got away," and then he's just like sitting
like
next to him. He's like, "So where are we going?"
Yeah.
Oh fuck! There's someone else I was gonna show. Maybe it'll come back.
I agree. I thought the action was amazing. I actually like how choreographed all of these, I guess, Yakuza members are, and like it's not really like what I like about the style of I guess what did you say? Would you say it's karate or like I don't really know the fighting.
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu.
I
Or,
don't know. Yeah. No, something like that.
So
just
I
go
just like
martial
how
art.
yeah, that's a better
It's
way
a
of saying
safe.
it. Martial arts is that it's all like more of that realistic where there's actual people doing it instead of like the CGI like fight scenes type thing.
Practical.
And I think that really helps like grounds the movie
Yeah.
as well too.
I
Even though like they're on the bullet train and like they're jumping up and down and that's kind of insane, but
I think they ground that as much
It's
as
just
they
they
can.
can, yeah.
I think it works.
Yeah.
I like the one where he dekes out the guy where he pretends something's coming and he goes to jump.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, like, the other guy jumps and just gets taken out.
yeah.
And it's a great shot just when he lets go and he like throws his arms back. Like that's just like such a comic book goodness.
Especially when he like dives at that
yeah,
guy.
yeah, like it's so good. It's
So good.
It's good stuff.
Just how you mentioned like the use of martial arts in it. It's just like it felt. You actually mentioned it where it feels more of just like an old school, almost like a Bruce Lee movie, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just a comic book movie or just like people are shooting laser beams out of their eyes. It's like, okay, this is kind of comic booky. So like if you have that mindset of a comic book movie, not just like like an awesome like Bruce Lee fight, or it's just like this is so cool. Like people can actually do this, right?
Yeah.
So it was cool the use of that as well of like the crossover. Don't mention the Viper stuff that they had in there. It's just like ridiculous. But it's like more of the lines of like this guy has like claws, right? So
Yeah.
they interwove the line of realistic comic book for a good chunk of this movie, I'll say. I don't want to say the whole movie. But also the thing that I forgot to mention, how you said that you love how he was like slowed down and like you couldn't regenerate super fast. Also like taking away that like I watched this for the second time like just on Monday as opposed to after seeing Logan. So that's where it also felt just like super Logan feels from it, because that's the only other time that I've seen Logan not be able to like regenerate properly, and it just like it adds a different factor that you're not normally used to. Because like I remember at the funeral scene when he gets like shotgun to the gut, right? Because
that boom, like it just hits him, and
he's like phasing. It looks like he got like flashbanged or something. Like he's just disoriented,
and
and
you can tell
then
he's never felt the pain like this before.
100%. And like before, like he would just be running at people and just like shoot me. Like he just doesn't feel all right. Yeah, I like seeing that other side. Obviously we've seen it done so much better in like Logan, but that's a different movie, whole different ball game.
Yeah. I guess like it would have been sweet, like you know how you're saying that they would have been training him to be like a samurai. It's like him being slow, so he needs to kind of learn another skill to.
No.
Yeah.
There was so much potential for that, and then I feel like by the end of this movie, like the whole point is that he's been like in Japan, kind of like absorbing like their ideologies and stuff, and like the samurai way of like inner peace. But it's just like that's just for like the viewer to just kind of build for themselves, right? Like IMDb boards like discuss it afterwards. Like they don't give you that when it's so easy. Like you can see it in front of you, but they just don't give it to you, and a little unfortunate.
And it doesn't like he decides like I gotta get back out there and be a soldier, but it just kind of I feel like he just does that by default in a way. Like there's not a big motivation to it. Just feels like he's kind of over killing Jean, so now he's gonna go out and help the X-Men. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what happens now because they're in that hotel. Oh, right. Logan faints. They take him to a vet. That's kind of funny. And he scratched the vet a couple times, clawed him. So that was good. Do you remember that?
Well, sorry, is it the Love Hotel still?
Yeah, because remember he collapses outside.
I thought it was like the people attacking him, like the Yakuza.
That's one thing I was going to say. What did you watch the unrated version, Kyle? Do you know?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, because the stream's a different version. Because we see the rated R version, Kyle didn't, because there's a few scenes added.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's one of them. Because in Kyle's cut, he just passes out because he's tired and he's in pain. But in that cut, it's just some random Yakuza people attack him.
It's really strange because they're kind of just walking down the street.
Okay. And then Mariko throws some knives in their head and kills them.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did see that.
Pretty cool. So you did watch. Because I have the unrated version. I'm sure. Because you also got the end fight when they get in the the cutter thing and they throw ninjas in there and it's cutting up blood and shooting up blood everywhere.
That doesn't sound familiar. Maybe I didn't see it.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Also in that scene though, because that's another like Jean flashback where she's kind of talk to him. It's really subtle, but like I really like when she says like you're slipping, Logan, and then the guy shoots him. Oh, so good.
Yeah. And I like that she's like a little more faded and
Yeah.
rain's going through. Very, if you've seen Blade Runner 2049, very, very much like
Yet
that.
to see it.
Mm. Fun fact for Kirkland. Yeah, and then after that he faints. They're just kind of traveling around quite a bit. We get like more flashbacks to him with Yoshida, but this is a lot of when we already talked about Viper and Harada are meeting in the streets, and they're talking about evil plans, and there's just stuff going on. Okay. So they sleep together because, I don't know, they're just, they're in the effort mode. You know, we might die. Or, Mariko, you might die. And I might mourn you.
I might mourn you.
Yeah. You might be in my dreams next. I do like to see when he wakes up all violent. She, like, calms him down. She's, like, holding. There's just something, I don't know, very central about the way she's just holding his, like, claws.
She's like rubbing them at one point.
Well,
it was
yeah,
weird.
but it's weird, but I like it because all the time you just see these things used as weapons, right? All the time, and they're just things of violence. So for her to be like caressing them and whatnot, I liked that spin on things. And then now I'm trying to think, but I feel like that's most of the movie because she gets kidnapped, and then that big final fight happens. Like also we like broad strokes, like broad strokes we were dealing with. He goes down to kidnap her. That's when that great scene to me when the ninjas take him out. I love that's right from the comics when he gets arrowed up and everything like
Didn't
that.
he had to go find her again, and he stops at the
Her soon to be husband,
husband's place, and
who is just filled with prostitutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
which was just like a bad. It's Origins vibe.
Oh yeah. How do you know the pool was there? I did it.
Yeah, I
was
like
pretty
that
good,
line.
though.
I like that.
It
Yeah.
was good. He makes it work. You know? But yeah,
It's totally what it is. Like it's cheesy, but like he
Yeah.
just makes it work. So
yeah. But that's why I feel like the beginning is very strong and the middle is not bad, but it's a lot of just like meandering around and a lot of that's the Viper stuff. And then I think the ending's strong. I like her leading that charge of I like the actual fight scene with all the ninjas at the end. I think that's good. And then we kind of get that ending and the reveal. I'm not sure because you guys have probably seen it. This is the second time, but do you remember? Was this a shocking reveal to you that was Yoshida or?
Even like the second time, it wasn't really that shocking.
Well, if you've seen the second,
well, I guess the first time. Well,
that's what you meant to say.
I don't because we saw it together, but I don't remember
No,
like
I didn't know you that. No, I'm joking. Yeah,
but I don't remember like being at the end like I was like flabbergasted by this whole thing. I think it was just.
I think it's just because I guess the other part I skipped over too is because he is looking for Mariko. Oh, I skipped over a major part. That's what happened. They're looking for Mariko, and that's when they get back to that where they were, the house where Yoshida supposedly died, and they find a way to get that thing out of him. Remember?
Oh yes, I forgot about that scene.
Yeah, I did too. You're gonna die with your heart in your hands, everything like that. Which, funny enough, if you think about it, in Logan he does die holding his daughter's hand. So. They did pay that off, and the directors, if you believe it or not, he said, it was on purpose. So, but, or you can just take it that he did die once holding his heart and he came back to life. But that's when we get the big scene of him with his shirt off fighting Mariko's dad. I think it's a really good samurai fight scene. To me, it's very strange. I like, because he gets to pull the Wolverine line. But, they're fighting and he stabs them and everything like that. And he goes to kill him. He's like, you tried to kill your daughter. You live with that.
Oh yeah, he leaves him.
And then he leaves him, but then he runs back and stabs them. And Logan kills him anyways. It's like, well, you didn't you didn't follow up on that threat. Like you didn't have to kill him. You could have just knocked him out. But so it was weird to be like, you live with that, and then him to kill him, execute him literally 10 seconds later.
Definitely stood out for me.
But like the guy has already like beaten his like daughter, and like I feel like he has no like he doesn't really care.
I know him, but why would Logan kill him after saying that? Like, I want you to live with that feeling of you trying to kill your daughter, and then like, no, I'm gonna put you out of your misery.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just showing like it's not really a culture thing, but just him misunderstanding this dude. I have no idea. And just ending it,
again,
or he
problem,
just like rage.
My problem is not with him. My problem is with Wolverine, Kyle. With him saying, "I'm not gonna kill you." You living and with the thought of you trying to kill your daughter is a worse punishment than death. And then what does he do? He gives them death.
Fuck it.
Okay.
Just send it.
I agree.
But I liked him like when he opened up his own chest and was like trying to feel around for that spider looking thing. I guess.
Totally out of the Matrix. It felt like.
Yeah, it was very.
Yeah.
It was very weird too. They don't really explain how this would stop his healing power or whatnot, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hilarious when was it what's her name again?
Yukiko?
No,
His love interest.
The redhead girl.
whatever. The guy, the dad.
Okay.
Comes
Mariko's dad.
Yeah, he like comes like fucks up the X-ray, and Logan's like fishing around. He's like, I can't see. He's just going in blind. That was pretty. That was a pretty gnarly scene. Not gonna lie.
It was pretty gnarly. It was good. I really liked that. I liked how like they were hopping around him while he was still like trying to do his own like surgeries.
Fucking
Fight
him.
scenes. That's the thing that sucks. All the fight scenes up until the finale are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate actually. That you mention it or you say it like that. I liked when you think he's dead and then he kind of just starts regenerating. Beautiful, look great. Old Wolverine's back.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
true.
we can't talk about Anne, but Anne got Viper getting taken out. She gets hung to death by Yukio. Cool. That's great. And then
That was very graphic, actually.
It was. It
thinking
kind of
about
was. And then like we talked about that reveal, and then I don't know. He just gets really over. Like, he's just laughing, and he's just so cheesy. Like it's not. It's work. Like the reveal and the ending's been bad enough, but it's just they just are just like hitting it home of like we're gonna make this as cheesy and as bad as possible. And he's just laughing. He feels like a comic book character in the worst way.
Yeah.
Just like cheesy. Everything wrong about what you would adapt. And yeah, he cuts off.
It
Logan.
feels like the director was cut and they hired a new guy to take in his place.
I don't think that was the case, but I think it could have been like, hey, we want you to do a little more of this. But another Wolverine movie where his claws get broken / cut off always looks brutal every time. Even
Very
with the
gruesome.
adamantium.
Yeah.
But
It was crazy because even like in the graphics they show like you see the adamantium and then you see like the bone inside that. It's
Yeah.
like this is gruesome. Like,
I do like when he kills Yoshida and he goes to get the bones out and then the bone claws again. And it's just a good scene. And it looked brutal when he was like had them like those saws and the knuckles.
Oh fuck yeah.
Oh,
that was.
even though I have
gruesome.
no claws,
I have no bone claws, but I
Yeah.
felt
I
that.
feel the pain.
I forgot, or I didn't even get to answer you when you asked me if I was shocked the first time I watched when the reveal. I don't believe I answered.
You
oh,
can
the
answer
samurai,
now.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
What do you
Yes,
think?
too. First time I watched it, I was not expecting it, but I was also probably fairly out of the movie because of what was going on. I was just like, I don't even care at this point. Like it's just it's so ridiculous of a movie. Like the turns that it was taking and the way that it was going, it was just I probably definitely like lost interest. So this second time, kind of forgot that he comes back, but at the same time, I was like,
Of course he does.
yeah,
didn't care.
like yeah, and then like especially like.
Because they kill
How-
off because the red herring's supposed to be that it's clearly her dad, right?
Yeah.
That he's the one who wants her dead, everything like that, which he did. So he's also another villain. But it's like with him dead and the other characters all around, and the Viper is clearly working for somebody. It's like there's only one character left that
Yeah.
it could be, unless they're gonna do some big
But-
shocking reveal that someone we've not met.
Yeah, and like it's just so like contradicts that character though for me because like at the beginning how I was talking about like
a normal guy.
he's so wholehearted like he's letting these like prisoners of war go and like you know he's just like I don't know just giving them a running chance and then he's just so like evil man at the end. It's just like it looks like he's just got his mind corrupted. It was just
He's just obsessed with the idea of Wolverine and longevity of life.
And mutants too, because remember his son's like, he was so obsessed with you. Type it, like took
Yeah.
down this house. Remember, because he
Yeah.
was like working with Viper and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And when I watched the movie again, like I had an idea the first time, but when I watch again, knowing it's him, they drop so many like non-subtle hints when he is just like, yeah, my dad was obsessed with your kind. And it's just like, okay, he's popping back up again. I do like that Mariko kills him with the knife to the head, or like
Yeah.
I guess stops him. Wolverine
Yeah.
kills him with the sayonara, but yeah.
Nope. It was pretty lackluster ending.
yeah.
Yep.
And I guess after that, they just go on the plane
They
and
kiss, and she sends him off, and he's gonna be a soldier, and then we get that end credit scene.
yeah. Should we talk about the end credits scene?
Well, Kirkland, weren't you gonna ask something about his adamantium or something in this end credit scene? Because you said how could Magneto stop him?
Yes. Oh, so it's never mind. I answered my own question.
Because his whole
just by
body
thinking,
is
yep.
adamantium. Yeah. Not-
I think I had a Kyle issue of the timeline, like when I asked that question.
well,
originally.
it's weird.
No, it's not wrong to say because I thought the same thing as well too. Only because
because he just
he's
has bone claws.
Bone claws.
I forgot
Like,
that they.
why don't
yeah.
they come back as as the metal ones? Antimony. And an anemone.
because they're cut off.
Yeah, but then they cut off his bones. Sorry, his bones get cut off, his claws get cut off, but shouldn't they just regrow back?
No, the bone would grow back, but the adamantium was placed there.
No, isn't it part of his bone structure though?
No, it was the bones were coated in it, so the bones could grow back. But if that came out and those were the original bones that got cut off, the bones are gonna grow back in a spot where the adamantium's missing.
So, let's say his arm gets cut off.
Yes.
Only now that whole arm will only be bone. No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have a scene at all in Days of Future Past. It's annoying, but I think the director or it said somewhere that Magneto gives him the bone claws or the metal claws back because he like expands the adamantium over his claws.
Oh, but they don't explain that in Days
No,
of Future
classic X-Men, but that's why he
Okay.
has it. So.
Yeah.
I just thought it would
That was
just
my next question.
grow back.
Nope. That was debated a lot. But my problem with this scene is it's very strange because he gets on an airplane, right?
Yeah.
And he's with Yukio, and clearly they don't want Yukio to be in Days of Future Past. So they say it's 2 years later, but it's weird because he's also just in an airport. We just saw him, so it's weird. But I also just wonder what he's been doing for 2 years. This has always bugged me, and I'll never know as these movies are ending and no one gives a fuck. But like, like, why? Like, I thought at the end of the movie he says he has to be a soldier, and I kind of took this like, oh, he's gonna go back to the X-Mansion and be with the X-Men, right?
No, he's just gonna find the
He's going back to
dazzle
his
and
cave.
distress and fuck him and then leave.
He's gonna find what?
Isn't it the Denzel, the dazzle, the
What are you?
in the distress? The no, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I have no idea.
It's the girl in distress. What are you guys laughing?
What do you mean the girl in distress?
This girl, this whole movie is about him chasing a girl who's getting chased by the Yakuza. The
Yeah.
damsel in is it? I'm
He's
pretty
trying
sure
to say damsel in
Damsel
distress.
in distress.
that's what I said.
No, you keep saying the girl in distress.
No, I said the damsel
no,
in
no,
distress
no,
the
no.
first time, and then you guys are making fun
I'm
of me.
sorry, Kyle.
Okay, so what are you saying?
That's what he's doing for the last 2 years.
Oh God.
Chasing the damsel in distress.
No, but no, he's not because we don't like. You're just saying that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We don't know what that's. I want to know what he's really been doing.
That's what I said the first time.
Well, okay, sure. We'll play it back.
Oh.
Theme.
Yeah.
I just would assume he's going back to the X Mansion, but what has he been doing for 2 years? I don't think that you need to add that tag. Obviously, they had Yukio with him, but just make Yukio stay with back in Japan. You know why? Because she's never in another fucking movie. So her
Yeah.
being on the plane, and why would she leave her best friend when she has just been almost nearly assassinated, and she's gonna become now the owner of this company? Okay, I'm gonna go Logan, who clearly does not need the help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the end credit scene. It was a good setup. I remember watching it the first time, just being, oh, Xavier's back. Big deal. It's great. Great except for Days of Future Past. But that just always bugs me. It's like, what was he doing?
I didn't take it that hard, but when you lay out the facts
Should've.
like that, I should have, clearly.
I guess I'm not that heartbroken.
Yeah.
I'm not heartbroken. I'm just curious. Like, I wonder what happened, you know?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you explained the whole antimanium thing.
Adamantium?
And an anemone.
Girl in distress?
And an enemy.
Damsel in distress.
What does he
what
have
I
on his
said the
bones,
first time.
Kyle?
Antimanium.
Adamantium.
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 You gotta learn this soon because it's gonna happen in the MCU and you don't want to look like a nerd.
Wait, what?
You know, in the MCU when Wolverine gets there, you don't want to be talking to your friends and like, oh, the adamantium.
And an enemy.
I don't want to look like a nerd, but if I get it right, then I'm not a nerd.
No.
A
No,
nerd
this-
in the bad sense.
Yeah. You want to be a geek, not a nerd.
Oh, I don't
Shouts
know.
out to the Geekverse podcast.
Shout out to Nerdverse as well. You're out there. Do we have anything else to say on this movie? I got some fun facts that are not, well, trivia that are not the greatest, but
No.
Seemed like a short one.
Well, it's just because there's not much like of a
No, 100%. Yeah.
plot or it's a bit of a plot, but it's not really much to go off of.
just about a girl in distress, you know?
A damsel in distress is
See,
what
when
I
you
said.
first said it, I thought you said like dress, like the girl in the
Oh.
dress, and you're like, "Come on, guys, don't
No,
you
I
remember
said-
her?" And
I
I'm
said-
like, "No."
I said damsel in distress,
Okay, yes, I apologize.
but now if you say it like that,
Are you
then
turning me
it's
down?
I turn your gain down, yeah.
What does gain mean? Is that
Just
volume?
makes you louder.
Yeah.
So.
So he likes to turn up his gain.
No, my
'Cause he
game's
likes to, like,
off.
fill and everything.
Don't break the fourth wall. Okay, so we got some trivia going on here. Hugh Jackman said for shirtless scenes in the movie, he wanted to look as ripped and cut as possible. So he adopted a dehydration diet used in bodybuilding, where he did not consume any liquid for 36 hours before filming the shirtless shots. He said it made him feel headachy and faint, but he was pleased with the results as dehydration tightened everything up and gave him the exaggerated muscle definition, vascularity that he wanted to show in the shirtless scene, and it paid off. So, good for you, Jackman. Mad respect there.
Could have died, but worth it.
He couldn't have died. They're
It's
watching
dangerous.
him. To prepare for the role, Hugh Jackman contacted Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for advice for bulking up the movie. Johnson suggested Jackman gain a pound a week over 6 months, 24 weeks, by eating 6,000 calories a day, an awful lot of chicken, steak, and brown rice. And this is at the time where right when it was coming out, it was like I lost a lot of weight and then I was working out. I did the Wolverine diet for a while. That's how I bulked up at one point, just eating tons of chicken. Nowhere to near what Mr. Jackman did, clearly, but I tried.
A pound a week?
It's tough. No, I didn't do that, but just like his meal plan I did, so.
Yeah.
Wolverine's claws were redesigned for this movie, if you guys didn't notice. The older versions were straighter design, but the new claws have more cuts and angles to them, allowing them to reflect light easier. Also, the claws come out of the hand lower towards the palm, which makes more sense from a scientific perspective. The older claws came out a bit beyond the knuckles. The new claws appear like they could come out in between the fingers, which means they could retract straight into forearms.
That makes sense.
I was going to mention the claws definitely look the best that they have throughout
Yeah, and
all
they
of
have
them.
like an edge to them,
Yeah.
too. So not like those fucking kitchen ice he has in Origins, so...
He cuts the back.
What? Okay, so since we're talking about the claws, the samurai scene where he's drilling into his bones, what was the point of that then?
I think he's trying to get the adamantium, right?
What do you mean? He's trying to take his power.
Okay, well,
That was the whole thing. Because remember, Yoshida, while he's doing that, he's old man and he's getting younger as he does that?
But does he get the adamantium as well too?
The what? I'm not going to answer your question until you get it right.
Antinamium?
No.
You're adding
It's ad.
I need
adamantium.
Yeah.
Adamantium. I need to see the word.
How many
Adam.
movies have we watched and they
Adaman-
mention every time
tium.
Logan's in there, they mention adamantium every fucking time. And you adamantium?
Adam?
What was the question?
Adamantium.
No, he doesn't get the adamantium.
But I know he does get the power though.
Yeah. So this was a big thing. Clearly, they didn't do this for Days of Future Past because they were probably already filming it, and they didn't want to introduce it, but this was a huge thing on the internet. There is a scene on the DVD and on YouTube if you want to go watch. An alternate ending was filmed where Yukio presents Logan with a box that contains his yellow and brown Wolverine mask from the comic books.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Mariko gives it to him as a gift. He looks it up and he just like looks and he like smiles into the camera kind of. So, and it looked pretty good. Unfortunately, they cut it, and because I think if they kept that in, you would expect to seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should have done it
I
in
think it
Days
could've
of Future Past
yeah.
because the thing is, he is in Days of Future Past. We'll do that's the next review. But there's a part where he's in the present, and then he goes in the past. The present, you could have had him wearing that costume.
No way.
Because the present is very quick. That's not in the movie that much. When he goes in the past,
They go in the future and the past?
Yes.
Is that why it's called Days of Future Past?
Yes, it is. So when he goes back into the past, for most of the movie, he would just be Logan again. So I think they could have done it. I'm mad that they never did it. So, but yeah, definitely watch the scene.
Yeah, I'm going to check that
It's
out.
great.
Is the mask made of adamantium?
No,
Good
it's
job,
not.
Kyle.
Guillermo del
Proud of you.
Toro expressed interest in directing, being a fan of Japanese saga and Wolverine comics. He met with James Ganopoulos, I think that's producer, and Hugh Jackman about directing, but ultimately decided he did not wish to spend 2 to 3 years of his life working on the movie. Fair enough.
I wouldn't either.
Not
Not with that ending.
Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, so Darren Aronofsky. I'm not sure. Do you guys know who that is?
What
He
did you say?
directed Darren Aronofsky. He directed Black Swan. He directed The Wrestler.
Ooh.
He directed
Pretty big movies.
Requiem of a Dream.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was originally set to direct and worked on the project for 6 months before departing, citing the long overseas shoot would prevent him from seeing his family. He had just separated from Rachel Weisz, the mother of his child. He didn't add that IMDb. During his time attached to the movie, he rewrote the screenplay with Christopher McQuarrie, the guy who's directed the last 2 Mission Impossible movies. And it's speculated the real reason for his departure was the studio's unwillingness to approve his draft, which aimed for hard R due to heavy sexual content and brutal violence. Which is funny. That was, Logan ends up being an R, so it's funny how things would go. I don't know what the heavy sexual content is. Maybe just
Must
some
be the Love Hotel.
Yeah, but I don't think you need those in those comic movies. Like Deadpool does it, and then finally some fun casting. Jessica Biel was offered the role of Viper, but the deal couldn't be reached, and she dropped out. Good job, Jessica Biel.
Good job. You dodged a bullet there.
Oh yeah, you dodged a massive bullet. So, what would you guys rate this movie?
I think I'm gonna give this you know what? I enjoyed this movie. I still as much as I hated this ending, I thought it was still somewhat of a fun ride, I guess. And the beginning parts and the parts that were really good is what I really liked about it. And so I'm going to give this a 7. I think a 7 is a good number for this. Yeah. Because, again, like what we talked about with the martial arts scenes, the fighting, kind of the back and forth of what they had. Everything other than the Venom Viper girl. What
was she trying to get from him?
I don't even know.
No, what was that medal Logan had?
Adamantium. Adamantium.
You're doing so good.
Oh, he's doing so well.
The second syllable.
Never gets old.
Yeah, that's like my...
Fuck you. Should ask about my hair more.
Anyway, so I thought it was good overall. So still there's like parts that it could be a lot better, but it was fine.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree with what you said about the implications of like the martial arts and stuff. I like those action scenes.
It's very Daredevil like.
Kirkland's never watched Daredevil.
That is a fat lie.
He's watched
that is a thick lie.
A season and a half.
I've seen less than 1 season.
Exactly.
Less than 1 season.
Missing out.
This cast isn't about me, okay? It's about X-Men. Actually, it's about the Wolverine.
Nope.
But anyways, I like the Daredevil-ish usage of martial arts. And I liked majority of the movie.
Yeah.
I love the intro scene before they go to Japan of just Hobo Logan. I loved all that stuff. I love the bar scene. I love the Jean Grey scenes, all of them. Those were phenomenal. And I'm just going to kind of forget about the end of the movie. So I'm going to rate this one a 7.5.
Oh.
I think that's a reasonable rating. I was leaning more 7, but
I was leaning 7.5, so yeah.
I was leaning more 7, and then I don't know. I just remember majority of like how good like the first to middle half of it was. So, yeah, that was my rating for that one.
Nice, good work. How about yourself, Mr. Snell?
I've said everything I need to say about this movie. You know what I like and don't like. Especially what I don't like. I'm going to join kind of on that 7 bandwagon. I always give 7s to, like I said, movies that are just above. 6 is like okay, it was good, passable. 5 is that like, oh, you just passed, didn't get that fail. 7 is stuff I rewatch. I still rewatch this movie quite a bit because I like the beginning of it. There's lots of scenes I like. It's another movie with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Yes, he did like I think 7 or 8 of them, and you might be like, oh, that's a lot, but still. When we are 60, there's only like 8 Hugh Jackman Wolverine movies. I'm gonna love all those, especially Wolverine Origins. But yeah, I will still rewatch this despite its massive flaws. So, you guys got anything to say before we got Days of Future Past next?
No, let's go to the future then past.
Oh, is it because they go in the past and the future? That's why it's called Days of Future. Pass.
Thanks for explaining the
ready.
movie.
That's what
Title.
you did.
I know it was
That's
so
the whole
funny.
synopsis.
I'm excited. I love this movie, so we'll do that, and there'll be our rankings episode. If you like what we do here, just head down to the description down below, and you find all the Podio feeds everywhere. Please subscribe, rate, review.
Review.
If you like what we do here, head over to Patreon. $1 amount, you get half the content. $5, get everything.
Everything.
Early stuff, exclusive content.
Content.
So that's great. Head over to YouTube for that video version. And until next episode.
Have an extra day.
Oh, no.
Yo, you extra boy. You never heard that before?
That was extraordinarily bad.
Wow.
I agree. I tried to throw an X in there, but
I accept your pun.
Wow, you got really